So I'm here with my colleague and friend Brandy Taylor. She's the principal of both schools in town here, and I asked her to just give some background perspectives on special needs education in the northern education context. So basically, we don't have that much time, so we'll just get right into it. So thank you for talking with us, Brandy.
No problem.
So before we start anything, can you just give us a little bit of your background, like in the north?
Yeah, so I've been employed here in Wamingji for, I think this is my 16th year. I started as an elementary teacher, then I was a secondary teacher, then I moved into spec ed department head for a year, then I was academic counselor, interim vice principal, full-time vice principal, and I'm in my second year as principal.
Great, thanks. So I think you can see she has a very extensive background in this context, so it's a good perspective. So basically, I'll just get right into the questions. So basically, based on your experience in the northern context, what are your perspectives on like spec ed services? What are the successes? What are the challenges? The level of services available here? What just a general overview of how things are?
So one thing that's a success is the fact that we do live in a small community, and so our special needs students are widely accepted. They've been a part of our school and a part of their specific homeroom classes basically since daycare. So they're very well integrated. Challenges really come in terms of actually getting proper diagnosis and assessment of students. The higher the special needs are, the easier it is to get diagnosed with learning disabilities and some of the things that are maybe not so obvious. It takes a long time to get people properly assessed, and sometimes then it's difficult to know where to go with certain students because we don't really know what the underlying issue is.
Perfect. And do you find that we have access to a lot of services up here, or depending on or does it depend on the situation?
It depends on the situation. So all of the James Bay Northern Quebec beneficiaries, so the Cree people, have access to medical services and psychological services, all free of charge. The problem is in terms of education is bridging the gap between the school and the services that are available. So a lot of it is like medical. If there's not a medical background to it, getting a diagnosis from a professional down south is very difficult.
Perfect, thank you. Next question, can you describe like the process in terms of how all this happens? So us being here at school administration, what is the actual process of student being flagged by a teacher and then from then on?
So if it's a suspected learning disability, usually it's flagged when the kid is in maybe pre-KK, grade 1, grade 2. Usually they'll notice something that's not seeming to be within what's considered, I guess, the normal range. The teacher would let the spec ed department head or administration know. There are some follow-up questions that we ask and some forms to fill out. So we usually gather information from the gym teacher, the Cree language teacher, on motor skills and everything else. That information is then all sent to the medical professionals at the clinic for referral to services, usually Montreal.
Perfect, but like I know we mentioned before, it goes through the medical professionals first, right?
Yes.
It doesn't go directly to like educational professionals or
no
special needs professionals.
Not recently. We don't have anybody within the board or within our services who come to the community to do specific kinds of testing. We did years ago, but that company no longer exists, and so everything, unfortunately, right now has to go through the clinic.
Great. Okay, thanks. I'm just curious, what is your perception of the special needs students themselves? Do they, given all this, the challenges that are here compared to being in like a southern context, do they have a chance at success, or is it, will they end up falling through the cracks of the system and just not getting the services they need?
It really depends on the needs of the individual student. We do have programs in place for students who experience a great deal of academic difficulty, but unfortunately under the Quebec system, there's only really one way to get the actual diploma.
Right.
And so for a lot of our students, depending on their needs, they may not actually achieve the diploma, but we do have a work program that does lead to a certificate that most students are capable of being successful in. So we do our best, but there's definitely increased challenges in being in the north and not having access to the same level of service.
As the situations get more difficult, I would imagine, right? Like
Yes.
the very profound, like students with disabilities, profound disabilities, don't have the same level of, I guess, I don't want to say care, not care, but resources available to help them.
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, perfect. And I just last question. I mean, again, based on your experience, like, what do you think can be improved? Like, where's the starting point if we wanted to improve this? I know it's like a systematic thing, an institutional level thing, but just in your opinion, where could the immediate improvements come from?
I think in terms of immediate improvement, if we were to be looking at how we could best serve our students, I think it starts with the assessment process and the diagnostic process. If the board had its own in-house people who were educated and had a background in diagnoses, we would be a lot further ahead because we would be able to refer students and quickly sort of identify what their specific needs are. Because we don't necessarily have immediate access to that, or even a way to do that without going through a long process that involves medical doctors, we end up waiting a long time to figure out, to sort of pinpoint what strategies work and what strategies don't work. It becomes trial and error as opposed to research and background.
Right. So yeah, I mean, it's a bigger, I think it's a higher level thing, but you know, that would eventually go down into the communities, into the front line, but I guess that's another conversation to have.
Yes.
But I do appreciate your insights and experience, and thanks a lot. I appreciate it.
Not a problem.